Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Mike White. I want to give you a quick tutorial on compositing two images, just working with generated images. So it's not any new stuff. You've seen this stuff 1,000 times. You watch my channel, but maybe it'll give you some ideas or spark something for you. So I've been using a lot of AI lately, and I get hate for it. It's okay. I've been an artist for a long time, and I feel like if I want to use AI, I can do it, and that's what I'm doing. So I've generated this the other day. It's just a concept that I have of, wildflowers with Jason, kind of like a spring hits mix with Friday the 13th. We're going to have a Friday the 13th coming up here in 11 days as I record this in the middle of spring, so it's March. So I see this image. I generated this image with ChatGPT. Okay, told it I wanted vector art style, lots of texture, splatter. The mask. I uploaded an example of the mask, and then I uploaded some examples of the flowers, and it kit bashed them together to get this result. And then, the standard checkerboard background that everybody uses over and over again, but just one that's a little more distressed is what I asked for here. So I've got some new friends that I'm teaching how to do these things. So I'm just going to show some techniques that might be boring to some of y'all, but how am I going to combine these two and make one image is what the goal of this tutorial is. Let's get started. So we always start by naming things properly. So I'm going to name this checkerboard distress. And we're going to pop open our handy dandy trusty upscale. I don't know how I lived before this program, but I did make it through life somehow. And I'm going to go a little bigger than I would normally go because I'm going to trace this in Inkscape. I'm going a little bit bigger because there's so much fine detail. So when you're making a trace in Inkscape, you want to be cognizant of the level of detail. So I'm going to go out to 5,000 pixels on this. Okay, and now let's do our mask. And 5,000 pixels should be good for this too. I'm going to do 6 so I can get in there and remove some of these fine areas. Now I'm going to drag that upscaled version over into Inkscape. And I'm just going to go to Path Trace Bitmap and leave the standard settings and hit apply. And I always kind of watch it jump while it does that. And we'll delete the image and see what we really got. So this is our vector version. So looks like we really saved all the detail. I hit Control-Shift-R to make it fit the stage. Now we're going to save that out. So I'm just going to call it the same thing. And then we're going to grab this version. Let's open this with Adobe Photoshop. I'm going to close all my other stuff. Okay, let's give ourselves lots of canvas here. So we'll go ahead and we'll convert this to a smart object. And then we're just going to increase our canvas size by a lot. So, let's just go 10,000 so we have plenty of room. And then we'll go 8,000. Kind of aim for that to be our framing. And then we'll bring in that checkerboard. So there's no particular order of operations here. So I'm just holding Alt while I scale that so that it'll, expand evenly all the way around. And I think this is close to my final, composition. I mean, this is exactly what I'm planning. So we'll just roll into this smart object. So this is our mask flowers. Okay. And we'll just pop into that. And we're just going to remove the background. So we're going to click on our handy dandy magic wand and just click outside and start learning the image, understanding what it's going to do, what nooks and crannies we need to dig out of here. Looks like there's a whole bunch down there at the bottom. I'm going to remember those. I just want to get I want to get the white that's not needed. So I want this white like in between these two shapes, or right here, or right there. Oops, looks like I hit the black. I needed to zoom in for that. But I don't want to take out white where I want to keep it, if it's part of the actual drawing. So I'm going to nail a lot of these little spots and just clean this up real quick. So I think I got most of the little spots in here. You can always keep going. There's always a finer level of detail, it seems like, on a drawing like this where you can just keep going. And I'm just like working my way around the image and finding little nooks and crannies. And this is what I talk about learning the image. I'm just kind of starting to understand this image. And everywhere I can get a hole, I really kind of want one, because it's just going to make the design lighter. Less ink is better. So I don't want to miss any of these opportunities to break this up wherever I can find them. Okay, so but at some point, obviously, you have to call it and move on. I think I've got everything that's vital. And we're just going to hit Control. Well, first we're going to expand. So right now we're outside and inside the parts that we want to get rid of. So we want to push into those edges just a tiny bit. So we're going to do Select, Modify, Expand, and I'm going to go in just 1 pixel. And if we zoom in, we can see it's just barely inside now. And what that's going to do is let me, when I invert this, so now I'm still selected around the outside, I'm going to hit Control-Shift-I and invert my selection to get everything that wasn't selected. So that's just Select Inverse. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Control-C and Control-Shift-V. And then this layer, I can literally just get rid of it. I don't need to keep it. Sometimes I preserve that stuff. But now what I want to do is put a solid color of black. And so I just hit this little circle and did solid color and did black, and I'm just pulling that down below so that I can really see and kind of grade the job that I did. And that's going to highlight all my, indiscretions, all my little missed spots, missed little speckles that I want to get rid of. Looks like there's quite a few. All right, we're just going to go after those. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete those. Now I'm in really deep, so I'm just going to go in and still expand 1 pixel and then hit delete. And that got rid of some of it. But this, you can see, this is kind of an endless task. What we're going to do is look at this outside color. So it's not pure black, but let's get a black part of it. Pretty dark part. And we're just going to add on a blending option here. So I'm going to do a blending option, stroke inside. We're going to change it to that color I just sampled. Okay. And we'll just hit OK. And what that's going to do is it's going to really clean up all my edges. So let's see it against the black. Let's turn off the stroke. See how dirty that is. And then let's turn it on and see how I've got these clean, smooth edges all the way around. And the other thing we want to do is zoom out and do that same trick, turn it off and on, and see if there's any parts of the image that are being damaged by the stroke. No. Yeah, I don't see anything. It's just evening out things. And then the other piece we can do is if we're really determined to get rid of these last little white speckles down here, is we actually control-click this layer so that it's so that we're painting on it, and then switch to a brush tool and just literally smooth some of this out so that it doesn't have quite all those speckles. Anywhere we see that it's really standing out to us and bothering us, we can just select it and paint over those little parts. That's being really picky. I think it's fine. Okay. Now remember, we're inside this smart object right here, okay? So what we want to do is turn this off. We're probably going to have to delete this layer if we're going to save this as the same type of smart object as it was before. Let's try it and see what happens. Oh, it's fine. So it's actually it's not a problem. So we can actually just, you know, trim this. Let's do that. Image trim, transparent, Control S, and then we can just pop back over to our main document, and we can actually close that if we want. And there we've got our composite. Okay. So, I mean, this could be finished at this point, you know, to finish it all the way. Of course, I'm going to save the Photoshop document. This is a great stage to save at because I haven't really changed anything about either one of these layers. You know, I haven't finalized anything. I have both of them in their full quality. And this would probably look just fine if we put this on a white shirt. So, you know, solid color. Let's throw white behind it. Let's drag that down to the bottom. That's what we're going to get on a white shirt. I'm pleasantly pleased with that. I don't see a problem. And we could look at the center and look at how this is placed. So I'm going to put that center line on it. So I just have my rulers on. If you don't have rulers, just do View Rulers. And I'm just dragging out from the ruler and finding the center of the elements. And I think it's going to be the best visual placement to take this and you know, really put that right in the middle of the mask face. That's going to be the best placement for that mask and for this overall composition. Okay. Okay, so let's say you were done at this point. What do? We want to make sure we're working with 300 DPI project. So resample's off. I'm going to put it at 300. That's telling me it's 33 inches wide. There's no way we'll ever need that much space. And I don't have very much room on the sides here. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this to 20. I mean, that's going to be plenty big. And I will turn on resample and set this to 300 and just resample the document at that size. Okay, so this is a good save point. And let's name it. Let's say hockey mask amid vibrant wildflowers. And then we'll set on checkerboard. That's got it. And I'm going to also put a keyword in here like Friday 13th. Okay. And I usually use underscores instead of spaces. Not going to dive into that why. I have a web background, I guess. That's what it is. And there's a lot of different reasons that I like to do that. And we'll just capitalize these things so we have a little naming convention going on here. Boom. Now, if I wanted to save this and print this just like this, I'd turn off that background. I would trim it. Okay, so just image trim. And then I'd look at it. And I would do image size. And we would go, I usually actually print, you know, nothing wider than 15. So I would make it 15. And then I would select these two. And actually merge these down. Then I'm going to do layer mask. If I'm printing this at 15 inches, this is what I would do. Layer mask from transparency, and then an image adjustments threshold. And that's going to finish that out. So now I can tell it that it's 4500 px, and then it's RTP. And save. Okay, so we have our original version that's done, you know, for a white shirt. But how can we make this for a black shirt? So I'm just going to do File Revert, and I'm going to go back to the the point we were at with the Photoshop document before. I haven't saved it, and we'll just set a black background back here. And then, you know, I'm going to take this checkered distress, and I'm going to do blending options on it, and I'm just going to do a color overlay, and we'll switch it to white. And now we have the white, the white version for a black shirt. And I just want to show you one other thing. This is how you would go a little bit further with this, okay? I'm going to show you how to do a halftone. And I've got some saved actions that I've got that I've built up over the years that's going to make this super easy. I just really want to introduce the concept of halftoning to you. So if we print this, the white parts here with all that distress is going to be pretty soft. That's going to be pretty great. But, there's lots of black in this main image that we can still knock out. So let me show you what I'm going to do. Let's merge these layers. Okay. So I've just merged these two layers down. And then before you halftone something, here, I'll just go ahead and delete this. I'm gonna just duplicate this layer. Let's just duplicate this layer onto new. Okay. That's going to be perfectly trimmed just because of the way that worked. Or maybe not. Let's trim it. Trim it. Okay. And then we're just going to take this and size it the right size. So you want to make sure it's at 300. You want to halftone at the scale you're going to print this. So, for a lot of my shirts, I go 12 inches. That's why I go 15 inches, because that's like the biggest I ever go. But I think this design will look good at 12 inches. And I'm just going to go ahead and make that 12. And then I'm going to use a tool that I've got here from my good friend Asiel. This is my black knockout tweakable, okay? And I'm just going to hit play on that action. And he's got these little boxes that pop up and tell us what to do, which is so nice. I'm just going to hit continue. It's telling us that if we're knocking out for black, we want to preserve more white. But I'm really going to go for maximum effect here. And I'm not going to actually worry about trying to preserve more white. You can do that by pulling this down. But I really want this to be as soft as possible. You can pull this back. I'm going to let this kind of go right around where it is and hit OK. And it's going to ask me to flatten the layers. Sure. It's now running the bitmap. And I've got other tutorials long ago where I showed everybody how to do stuff like this. We're using the halftone screen method. And, this is your frequency and your angle. I leave these the same. The important thing is doing this at the right scale. And it's already done that quick. And look at how incredibly soft this transfer is going to be now. All the black's gone. That's what it looks like on black. And then this is what it looks like, just the actual colors. I'm just going to change that so you can, maybe really highlight to you how little ink is there. So that's what it looks like against black. And then this is what it looks like against whites. So you can see like the missing ink that's just gone from the design. And I mean, I think it still looks great. There's some curves here. You can tweak some of these settings, and I actually like it better with those off. So with those two adjustment layers turned off, I like this final result right here. And then I would just export that. So it's all ready to go, ready to be pressed on a shirt just like it is. Okay, well, hey, thanks for watching my tutorials. I hope they're educational. I hope everybody's learning from this stuff. And just keep enjoying making designs. And tune in next time. We'll have some more content for you. Take care.